Okay, so the Triton's finished now. Yesterday we had a few issues, but I'm going to go back to what we found yesterday. It's easier for people who haven't seen the other video. So we had a road test yesterday. Alex rode the bike as well as me, and we found the clutch was quite heavy, and I did say when I rode it before we swapped over, it does drag the clutch, which means when you pull the clutch in, it's trying to drive forwards. We decided that when we come back, we'd investigate, have a look at that. So up on the bench, we took the primary chain case cover off, and this has been converted to a belt drive, so it doesn't have the normal chain adjuster or a chain in there. It was a load of oil in there. Now, normally you don't have oil in with a belt drive, and we looked at the clutch, and you could see when you pulled the clutch in, the pressure plate was running out of line. It wasn't running, I think I explained at the first video, it wasn't coming off square. And that can cause, when you pull the clutch in, the plates aren't freeing off properly. And it's been quite heavily adjusted on the springs, and I think the course adjuster was still on a little bit of tension. So that's why it tended to be a bit slippy, although it's heavier clutch. We took the clutch apart very quickly, and the clutch centre was quite stiff. And what I found was basically the adapter that goes onto the main shaft was a bit tight onto the sleeve gear. We had to remove a little bit of that material, and there's a picture of that. Put it all back together, it's fine. And we were waiting for the stator, for the alternator to come today. I fitted that this morning, all fitted, but then we found, well actually before I fitted it, I did run it up, and I found that we had quite a lot of oil coming out from behind the pulley. Investigation, pulled the pulley off, had a look behind. There should be an oil seal as standard with a spacer, then have the sprocket. Because this has got a pulley, there was no oil seal. So you need that seal, although there's a couple of holes in the crankcase that breathe into the primary chain case. Then there's a big breather here at the back. We're getting a lot of oil. So luckily, Pete, the chap that sometimes you see in the videos, he managed to find me a seal. I pinched his oil seal for his own rebuild that he's doing. So I've put a seal back in there, so it's as it should be now. Built it back up, it's got the alternator all done. And one other thing we're going to check is, I'm going to show Alex in a moment, mentioned yesterday about a long breather here, pipe, that you normally have, on a Triton you normally have that vented out the back somewhere. It's been modified to just like a little stub, and over here, I show you the breather. So we have a gauze end, and this goes on to the extension from the crankcase. But inside here, it's been heavily restricted. Now, that foam, when you try and blow, it's very restricted. And if that gets any oil into it, we really want the engine to breathe. That crankcase needs to breathe, and it breathes into that breather tube there. So it would normally have a rubber hose. So I think we should take that gauze out, and we're going to just run it with just the mesh on the end so the engine can breathe properly. This is what we were replacing yesterday, and come back to the stator. Now the stator is the outside part of the alternator with all the coils. This hasn't got hot because the coils haven't discoloured, but all the, like a shellac, it's all soft, all peeling away. You can see what was happening. This is peeling off. This could have caused problems. This could have, bits could have fragmented and got into the engine as well, because there's no oil seal behind. It could have got under the pulley, and the belt could have got caught up in all that, so not good. And also without the insulation, not good. So we've replaced that with a Lucas one. We sorted out the clutch. Clutch is nice, frees off nicely. It's fairly strong, but it's nice. I can pull that in easily now because these are only a 3-spring clutch. But we are ready now to just take it out once more and give it a run and see where we are. We will give it an oil change once we come back. The engine's got some heat back into it. But I think, yeah, it's virtually finished now. So, yeah, a few little things we picked up, but that's not unusual. Okay, so the bike's warm, so we don't need to tickle the carburetors. Do a hot start. Both taps on, no ignition switch, just a kill button for the Magneto. What I always do, obviously put the footrest up, because with a Triton it's in the way when you kick it. We just pull the clutch in, free that off. Also, you don't always want to kick a bike from the very top, so we just find where we're comfortable. We get compression, there's good for me. A little bit of throttle and a good kick. That's really easy. It's not a good Magneto, that's all the difference.
How is it?
Much better. Clutch is nice and smooth. Yeah, it's good. It's not dragging at all. Pull the clutch in, you can move the bike nice and easily. Before it was dragging, but much better.
What now, Dave?
We haven't got a lot of fuel. I think what we ought to do now is find a slightly faster bit of road. We'd do some flybys, and then we can go back to the workshop and we'd do the oil change. And then we can sign it off and say it's all ready. How is it, Alex?
Yeah, good. I went for another gear, went for fifth, wasn't there on that run.
No.
The frame is nice. It's very flickable in the corners. I just rode a little bit to get here, and through a few corners it was really nice, very easy.
So the bike's finished. I will give it a bit of a wipe over. We've given it an oil change now. Alex has been riding this as well as me today, and because Alex is taller, and mentioned yesterday that Tritons are very much a personalised bike to where you feel comfortable. You adjust your rear sets, your clip-ons. This he found yesterday was like difficult to change gear. You can reposition your pedals, and on this side we've got the gear change. You can adjust this with these rose joints here, and there's just a rod here, and you can auto take the linkage off the splines and move it. If you select first gear, which is one down, if you press too hard, this rod flexes. It's the kit obviously that was bought to do the rear sets. You could upgrade that a little bit. Slightly bigger diameter still, you can reduce at each ends to go into these rose joints, or you upgrade those, because it's quite a long rod, and that will make it feel more positive in gears. And if you found that this was into your shin a little bit, or your calves rather, you could put a folding type kickstart on there. We'll tuck it away a little bit. But you know, that's what you do with these sort of bikes. You tailor them to your own comfort really. But it rides really well, and Alex was impressed with the frame. I've mentioned many times about the Norton Featherbed frame, wide line or slim line. This one is the wide line. Slim line is waisted here, so the seat is more narrow. For a shorter person, a little bit, if you're slight, it will be more comfortable, because it does tend to be a bit wide on your inside of your leg. But this is a nice example. Yeah, I like it. Like I say, I do miss not having a tacho, but a younger one's take. It's a light bike. It's very nice to ride, and yeah, I think whoever is going to win this bike, I think you'll really enjoy it. And keep it, ride it, and take it down the pub. Show your friends.